we do for companies, and we do on quite a large scale. But for this 1 hour, we will try as much as possible to cover all that we can cover. And so for those of you in groups and associations and companies who want more, please just try and book. The same number that you saw is that one number which you can say a hi to, or say, I want to do this, I want to book for this session, and then that will be done to your company. So basically that's what it is. But planning is key. The truth of the matter is that your pension fund is your future. When I say this, I have to be careful not to say that the only thing you can do to plan for your old age is pension, or as it were, a formal pension agreement or a formal pension plan, as we have in SNET and first year and second year and third year, or some kind of an investment. Pension fund is only one of them. However, it is an area which is quite obscured. It can be a bit technical. I mean, you would have joined me for how many times you would have met in sessions before, and you see that probably I keep talking about the same. So you need to understand the fact that pension fund is only one of your options. However, it's a secured way, and it's also a part that can be a bit complicated, and so that is why we make a lot of emphasis for especially for what we do. We make a lot of emphasis. So your pension is your future. However, there's this truth. There's this truth that pension funds also lose money, and can lose money big time. We need to come in and act and do something. So today's session, which is normally a part of what we do, is for us to get this understanding that pension funds lose money, and how can I prevent it from happening. Pensioners, in general, face, as I would say, we face a number of risks. There are a number of them. However, one very prominent one is what I call shortfall risk. Shortfall probability that you would receive less than what you expected. Okay, shortfall is an English word. I believe you understand what it means. That when something is falling short. So if I'm expecting 5,000 and then I get 2,000, you know that is a kind of a shortfall. And if you hear stories, if you hear people's experiences, if you hear what people have gone through with retirement and their money, you see that this is one area which comes so prominently. I was expecting so much, 5,000. When I went, it was 1,000. And most pensioners actually receive this kind of shock. Okay, so this is not something that you can just sit there and grow and work hard 25 years, 30 years, and go into retirement, only go and see that there's a shortfall. And the painful bit is that you could have done something about it. And that something is not even difficult. That something is not even difficult, but you just didn't do anything about it. So that is the bit that we need to. So the shortfall is waiting for everybody. However, we can do something about it. That is why we are here. This is a research that I chanced on in Ghana, actually. I think SNET has a hand in this research, that 2% of those who retire, only 2% retire off. Okay, 23% need to keep working, and then 75% would have to depend only on SNET or on family and friends. So that is a statistic we are faced with. Okay, 23% keep working. If you want to work because of a choice that you have, it's your option. You can decide not to work, but you have decided to work. That's fine. But not when you have to work because there's a shortfall, and then you have to just keep working against your wish. That's painful. In fact, I'll tell you a story. One of the reasons why I took this retirement planning whole thing seriously, I used to work in a certain company, and there was this man who was going to retire. I have been in that office for about 7 years, and because I have been involved in the 3-tier pensions right when they started in 2010, everybody in the company knew that, oh, this guy, some of them even called me the pensions guy. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, this man was retiring. We're actually friends, and then he came and said, oh, Matisse, he was a driver, a very accomplished driver. And so he came and I was explaining some of the things to him. Who's a say no, and then I started explaining things to him. And then, we went through just about 15 minutes of chat. Now, the painful bit is that this guy had to go and continue working. Unfortunately for him, he was in Kumasi, but the work that he got against his wishes, was in Northern region. He had to go. He had to leave his family, and that was a time that he was looking forward to. He hadn't originally planned to, even though he planned to work, he was a very strong and a fit guy at 60. He didn't intend to do that kind of work where, it's an 8 to 9, 8 to 5 kind of job where you are in a strict time. He wanted to do something comfortably just to keep himself going. Now he had to take up work to go. Okay. And then he said something. He said, Mr. Kranchi, anyone in my office, 7 years. One day, me anywhere needs to come away. And this is something that if this guy had spoken with me earlier, 5 years, even 5 years earlier to the time, he could have made a lot of changes to his life. A lot of changes that could have, as it were, pushing him a little bit. So this is how this thing is. This is what we are faced with. Some of them, yes, we can talk about a system in which we are in, SSNIT. Yes, we can talk about it. We can also talk about the fact that the Ghana's investment sector is not very robust. Yes, they are all true. And I personally think that SSNIT still has to do a lot of stuff to be able to keep our pensions going and to provide for us. But we also have something that we can do. We are now faced with the fact that pension funds lose money. That is only just one part. We can have pension funds lose money through active means and also through passive means. Okay, active is my own word, my own expression. Active is where I refer to when you actually go and invest in some kind of an investment vehicle, and then that money, it collapses. And excuse my example, something similar to what we had with Men's Gold. Okay, that is sort of an active, but no pension funds invest in Men's Gold, so that's the problem. But the point is that this is what I call active loss of money. And then the passive, and for me, that is the painful bit, is where is money that you could have made, the potential for you to have made that money, but the potential for you to have made that money, but that money, you couldn't make it because you didn't even see that potential. That is where the problem is. And this is the sort of things that we are actually talking about here. It is a bit of an issue. And so the passive loss of money is what has to be addressed. And this is what we are actually talking about here. I still want to welcome up. We now have about 50 people. We are going forward. I seem to have a lot of medical professions on this platform today. A lot of them, a lot of doctors. Thank you very much. A lot of engineers. I've seen the profile is interesting. Thank you very much. We are in the family now. Okay, and questions have started coming. You can bring your question in the chat, and I'll talk about it. It says, yeah, can you please explain more on 75%? Okay, what it means is that for people who retire, 75 who retire in Ghana, 75% of them have only SSNIT and their family and friends, probably their children, to rely on. 2% retire comfortably, financially independent, and their earnings just takes care of them. The 23%, let me actually go back to that. Okay, to explain this, I think it's where the first thing is. 23% of people who retire still need to keep working. That's against their option. And then it's 75% who have only SSNIT to rely on, and then family and friends. And this is even the case of people who are engaged in formal work. Okay, like what I was talking about, my doctors and all those people who are in a formal sector job, who are paid monthly or paid fortnightly or whatever. This is for those people. For those who are in an informal sector or self-employed, this case is even different, and it's scary. It's scary because, look, I've met people my age who have worked for themselves all this while, and it hasn't that this is what they need. And the people that we see who struggle in retirement, sorry, it's not because, excuse my language, they were foolish people. Not that they were foolish people. They didn't seem to see what was ahead of them. And so that is what they have to battle with. And this can easily happen to us as well. So basically, even if you have someone that said that, yes, is it too late for that? So basically, people, if you didn't start early, I mean, your biggest asset and your biggest chance is to start early. 25, you have started. Okay, it can be small, and that is what pension funds are supposed to be: small, but over a long time. And then since you have that long time, then it compounds, and that is the beauty of it. So if you don't start, you haven't started early, 40 or let's say 50, then what it means is that you need to push in a lot more or find other means. And mind you, today we are only talking about pension funds. We are not talking about other other sources that can be of retirement income. No, because of our time, we are only doing that. And even this one, we're only looking at a few areas where you can lose funds, and then also how you can prevent them. So let's move forward. I've explained the active and passive. Active, when you put money into something and physically you lose it. Passive is where potentially you could have made $1 million, but because you sat there, because you didn't take some actions, then what it means is that you lose that money, and that's painful. The truth is that it could be any amount because you don't even know in the first place. But that is what could have kept you, right? How do we lose money in our pension funds? Let's look at this quick diagram I have here. Let's look at Ghana's formal pension system, okay? First, we have the first year. We have the first year being managed by SSNIT, as there. And how we make benefits, or how we qualify. Actually, I should have added something here. How we qualify is two things. Number one, pension rights. Number two, this is it, pension rights, okay? Please, if you're not seeing me well, then put it on speaker view so you can see me well, all right? So that you can see what I'm illustrating here. Number one is pension rights. Number two is the level of your best 3 year salary through your entire life. If that salary was high, what it means is that once we put your best 3 years together, then that level will be high. And then number three, we call something early reduction factor. That is, if you wait till you retire at 60, you earn the full benefits, the full level of benefit that is due you. However, if you do early retirement, let's say 55 or 50, early reduction factor is when you retire early, then you lose it. It is one of the ways to make sure that you get a full benefit. Wait till your time comes, okay? Then let's go to the second tier. Time is running fast, but let's go. Second tier, and then we have the third tier. The second tier and third tier both are managed by private pension trustees. Have you seen it? This one is by SSNIT, which is public, government supported. And this one is private pension trustees. So second tier and third tier. And this one, as the SSNIT is based on pension rights. Pension rights is basically earned by the number of years that you have worked with. And please take note of this. That's where I said I should have added something. You need a minimum 180 months. I'm actually writing it here. 180 months to be able to qualify to receive 37.5% of your best 3 years average. So let's say your first best was say 10,000, second was 12, and third was, let's say 13. So when we put the three together, we come to 35. Okay. Now we divide 35 by 3, and then we get we get 11,800. Okay. After we get 11,800, this is the amount which we are going to apply the 37.5%. That is, if you contribute for exactly 180 months. But the more you contribute every month, every year, then you increase it. So we can look at it. So that is what it is. Third tier and second tier, we get the money through, look here, fund accumulation, amount contributed, period of contribution, investment returns, and management cost. So you can see that in both the first year and second and third years, this one managed by private and this one managed by the public, one thing that runs common to both is the length of time, the period of contribution. In the first year run by SSNIT, it gives you what we call pension rights. Okay, that is what determines the percentage that we have to apply to your best 3 years. In the second and third year, it is only the fact that you had more time to put in more money, so you could accumulate more money. That is what it is. So time, if you heard me 100 times, there is no retirement planning session that I do or have done in my life where I haven't mentioned about time. If we keep meeting for the next 200 times until the end of our lives, this is something that you will hear. Okay, time is the best function for you to use to accumulate pension. So if you are 25, you are 30, and you hear retirement planning stuff and you run away thinking you have a long time, look, that is not it. I know there are people here on this seminar who can't tell how the last 15 years of their life came to pass, how the last 10 years. Here was it. Sometime this weekend we were talking about Ghana's revolution. Then I was only a small boy in 1879, and I remember I was a young boy, very little, maybe early primary, but I could remember it as yesterday. Okay, that is how time flies. And so if you are talking about regular investment, which my colleague Jonathan will come and talk about, if you are doing regular investment and it's 10 years, it is long term enough. Oh, it is long term. But in pension, okay, 10 years is close. If you have 10 years to pension, it's close. If you are 50 and you have decided to retire at 60, it's close. If you are 5 years, you are agonizingly close. Okay, and I've said it before, maybe for those who are not here, that you need about 20 years. And Ghana, in average, people work for about 30 years. Okay, however, there are some things we still need to do. There's a technical term I haven't mentioned here to describe first year. We call it defined benefits. Don't worry about that one too much. Maybe when we have a longer time, we can look at all that. But just get to know this, that these are the factors which determine the benefits for within Ghana's formal pension system. Please, this is where we are emphasizing. And again, this session is only looking at making your pension from that side only. So let's look at it. Sources of income. This one, I won't spend more time here because, as I've stated already, this is what we are talking about today. So let's move on. I have about 18 years experience in this work, and let me tell you something. The biggest thing that steal money from our pension funds is lack of awareness. And it's amazing. People in the financial sector, yes, you will think somebody went to the bank, so you should know pension. No. Somebody says, is SSNIT same as pension plan? Yes, SSNIT is a kind of a pension plan. Yes, SSNIT is a kind of a pension plan, but that alone is not enough. That is why we are doing what we are doing. But lack of awareness is one brutal thief, okay, robber of what people could earn. Remember when I talked about the passive loss of money? Lack of awareness. I mean, we'll look at some of them, so I won't belabor. But you're not required to be an expert. You're not required to be an expert, but at least you are required to be able to have an idea from what I'm earning now, what will be due me? What can I do to improve it? What can I do to optimize? That is what we are doing. Lack of awareness is brutal. And that is why some of us, we concentrate a lot on doing this education. And then we also take other actions to help. Okay. Of course, it's also business. It's also business to me, but don't look at that too much. Look at the benefits. Lack of awareness. This thing we are doing like this is free. Okay, it's free. You can send the link to somebody, share. We still have quite some room to take a number of people, so you can still send, and it's free. Okay, if you get this information, what you have, you can use it. And mind you, after this, we're going to have a poll. Just let me know whether it was important to you, whether it was relevant, what we can do to improve it. And that number that you had, please try to send a hi on it if you are here, so that we can send you the link or any other information on investment that we do as well. Okay, so please send a hi to this number and we will send you. There's a lot that we've done. I've personally written over 50 articles. Okay, some to BFT, some on the Ghana Talks Business. If you go on the Ghana Talks Business website, it's here. You go there and just type in retirement or retiring richly. You will see a lot of articles. Type in investments. You see a lot of them. They are there. But we can also send you links. And every day, or we try to share some other stories, not only in financial planning, but also in business. All right, where we do that as well. It's a long way off. I think I've spoken about it. It's never too long way off. It's never too long way. Why do we have to talk about retirement planning when you are 30? Because you need at least 20 years, and you need a long time to accumulate for your pension. Okay. If I saw a question where somebody asked and said, if I'm 50 or so, is this too late? Well, it's not late, but what it means is that you need to put in a lot more. There's a certain statistic that is in the pensions balance, that if you start early, you may just have to be putting away something like 10% of your money into pension. But if you wait till you are 40, you may be looking to do something like 40%. Okay, this is just something to actually guide you. And in Ghana, we have a maximum of 35% tax-free. What it means is that when your pension funds, when you receive your salary, your pension funds are deducted before taxes are applied. So you pay less taxes. It's one of the advantages, okay? One of the reasons I've spoken about time, late start. I'm also talking about career breaks, okay? So you started working. Mind you, the state first year relies on what? Pension rights. And this pension rights relies on the number of years. So even if you work somewhere and you were paid 100 Ghana cedis, that 100 Ghana cedis could have been small for you, but that time you put in that job, maybe you work for 2 years, maybe you work for 3 years, and 3 years is 360 months. Sorry, it's 36 months. 3 years is 36 months. You have to work for minimum 180 months, and then you can qualify. You understand? If you do not qualify, SSNIT will just give you all that you contributed to them, add interest to it, and give it to you, and they don't have any problem with you again. But what SSNIT gives to give us is to be able to pay you forever. Okay, to be able to pay you forever till you die. That is if you qualify for it. So career breaks, maybe somewhere along the line you left, you traveled, you came. Don't forget about that 3 or 4 years you did somewhere. Go to SSNIT and check and make sure that that has been accounted for. Because otherwise, if let's say in the course of your career you progress, you got some big opportunities, and because of that you have good salary, rates, you may run short of pension rights because the length of time you contributed may not be too good. So every service that you did formal, which you were paid formally, which you paid tax for, should count. What steals from a pension fund, or what steals from your pension fund, is you not just forgetting about that time, because at that time, you may be 200 Ghana cedi. That time is important. Go to SSNIT, go check it. And then, of course, one thing that steals from our pension funds is lack of proper management. We have proper management in terms of the companies that manage it. I know you have a lot of issues with SSNIT, but let me tell you what: don't throw SSNIT away, especially for those of you who work for yourself. Especially if you hear the public sector people say, "Oh, SSNIT is not there," please don't throw it away. Find yourself in it, because SSNIT is the only institution in Ghana. Let me say this: SSNIT is the only institution in Ghana that can guarantee you payment till you die. Okay, we've had let me use the word good banks. We've had banks collapse. Good companies just fold up. Okay, and by the way, the history of pensions going back like 20 years, 25 years, is that we had a lot of good companies that used to take care of their pensioners till they die. Valco, those big companies. Now they are all coming out of it because it is a bit unsustainable, right? Companies collapse, economies have become tighter, and all that. So lack of proper management. Now we have private trustees who have been licensed by the regulator to manage our pensions for us. If they don't manage it well, it causes us to lose money. This is actually active money, but the time and the career breaks and all those times we lose, they are passive, and they can cost you big time. Another one that cost us, and please take note of this one. Those of us, okay, what happens to your employer? What happens when your employer is not consistent? It's a question here. It's not consistent. Report him to the regulator, MPRA. Go to the MPRA website. Go to MPRA website, mpra.gov.gh, and then see a number and reports. MPRA has what we call prosecutorial powers, just like the way SSNIT will do when people don't. They can catch them, and if your employer is not, because mind you, the tier 2 contribution is your money. It came from your salary. Okay, this is not part of what we are doing today, but at least let me answer it. Report him. Yeah. You have our number, the number that I put on the screen again. Call. We can always have that discussion. Okay. Let me look at this one. If you talk about this and we don't talk about anything else, we can. But please let your questions keep coming in from the chat side. Okay. Now, this one, late remittance of contributions, especially second and third years, and this ties in with the question I just answered for one of us. Okay, late remittance of contributions. You know, the law says that every company should pay or remit their contributions on the 14th. So on the 14th of every month. So let's say for the month of August, your pension contribution should be paid by at most 14th September. Your pension fund should have gone into your account or should have been remitted to the trustee who would now apportion some of your part for you. Now, from the day you are paid, let's say 26th, imagine you are paid on 26th August, and then the pension fund is, your contribution is remitted on the 14th. You know how many days? It's 18 days. On the SSNIT side, it doesn't matter. I can't explain it too much today. On the SSNIT side, it doesn't matter. However, on the private pension side, second and third year, it matters. And this is the reason. When the funds go early, when the funds come today, I will invest it tomorrow. And so straight away, instead of waiting for these 18 days to pass, your funds will start receiving value. So if your company is not paying, if they're not paying at all, that one, and you know the tier 2, it's also mandatory. If they don't pay, they need to pay a surcharge of 3% on top of it every month that it delays. That's why I say report to NPI. They will help you, or we can talk later on. Those of us on the public sector, and as I said, I have a lot of public sector workers here from the medical field. I want to acknowledge all of you. Let's look at this chart. It will tell us better what I mean. Let me explain this one. Let's say we have two companies, or we have two schemes, Scheme A and Scheme B. This company A remits their contribution on the 5th, using the August example, right? Pension contributions of these workers here were remitted on the 5th, whilst company B remitted on the 14th. Okay, let's say two friends, they live in the same house. One works for company A, one works for company B, but company A sends their pension contributions on the 5th. The other one sends on the 14th. What is the day difference? It's 9 days, isn't it? 9 days. If the one that goes on the 5th, immediately, and Yoni, the guy who's going to come on, after me to do the investments, the moment he gets the money, he invests it. So 9 days. If you wait, this happens for the year. What it means is that on your contributions, potentially in a year, this table in a year. And by the way, we are going to put this on YouTube, so that you can always go there. And please, when you go there, subscribe, so that when we do, anytime you do this webinar, whether you want to join or not, you can always follow. It's going to be there, so you can refer to it well. And this one, it means that in a year, you would have potentially lost 108 days of investment returns because your funds, your contributions were remitted on the 14th. I'm not saying go and beat up your employer if that is what they are doing, if that's what they are doing, because it could also be due to cash issue, cash flow, and all that. COVID came and it's not easy and all that. So in a certain way, you need to understand your company, if that is what they need to do to keep floating. Because if you don't have a company, then you don't have a job. All right. So let's be really. But if you know that the company is doing well and the company can pay and they are doing that, then that discussion is necessary. And then in 5 years, you would have lost 540 days of potential investment that could have been earned on top of your pension fund. But because your employer chose to remit your pension fund on the 14th, this is how many days you lose in investment. All right. Again, if you know that your company is struggling, that's fine. It's fair enough. For those of us who are on government payroll, maybe you can only do that by strike. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not saying go on strike, but I hear that a lot. And I know that governments hear that language too a lot. Anyway, so that is what you lose when you fail to remit your contributions. And for those of you who work for yourself, you may also be in the public sector. Okay, let me shell that. I'll talk about it later. Those who work for yourself and you need to pay, please, the more you keep it, the more you are losing days. Okay, someone says, can I explain the 9 days loss again? The 9 days loss again, let me just say, is that if I'm supposed to have remitted your contribution on the 5th of August, and I don't send the money, and I send it on the 14th to the trustee, okay, to let the investment begin. That 9 days that I didn't send, that is loss of investment days for you. I don't know if you now understand. I should have paid first. I didn't pay. I paid on the 14 days or 13 days difference. All right. So this is something that's all right. Again, one of the reasons why we lose is bad investments of pension funds, which lead to shortfalls. That is what falls under the active, where the money comes in, but we do bad investments. We've suffered from some of these things, I know, from some of these investments that have gone bad. Don't be afraid when it comes to the pension fund. It's still not guaranteed, but it's highly regulated. And for these past 10 years that we have been involved in managing, I'm a trustee, an individual trustee. I act as an independent trustee to quite a number of schemes. And for what we have managed and what we have seen, the pension funds stood against the banking collapse. It stood against microfinance collapse. It has had its strength against the COVID. You see, so it tells you that the sort of regulations that guides the pension fund with even how to invest, there is a rule for that. So nobody can just take your money and go and put it anywhere. But however, bad investments can do that as well, maybe from your side, okay? And so what you need to do is just to keep monitoring. Some of us, when we take our pay slip, that's it. We just take the net and that's it, we are gone. We don't look at anything. You don't look at whether the deductions are gone. You don't know whether your employer is paying your SNAID. You don't check it. That time is gone. Okay, that time is over. If you keep on doing that, you work for 30 years, look back and realize that, look, I didn't work for somebody we spoke. When we checked, all right, that's a long while ago. Here, this 5 years of contributions has gone to somebody else's. And these are the things that SNAID can only help when you ask them questions and they can do it, all right? There's also another case where a friend's sister passed on, okay? I think it's about almost 10 years of contributions. It wasn't in her records, okay? That monitoring is not government that has to do for you. It's not SNAID that has to do for you. It's your personal responsibility, because planning for retirement, guess what? It's no longer any company's responsibility. It is your responsibility. There are certain things you cannot change. For example, how SNAID calculates their pensions. You can't change it, but you can find ways to optimize what goes into your account. And that's what, for us, that's what we look at. Monitoring of your SNAID contributions, monitoring of your second and third tier, looking at the statements, asking your trustees questions. All right? Why this? Why that? Why that? Okay? That is one way to go about it. And then I'll just talk about this and then we will end. Okay? I'll open the line for one or two voice questions. But this is a brutal, this is another brutal one. Pensionable salary versus current income. When we take our slips, I had the opportunity to look at a pay slip for one of my doctor friends recently. And when anytime you look at your pay slip, okay, look at your basic salary. I've been saying stuff like pensionable right, a certain percentage that is going to be applied to your best 3 years of your salary. That salary we are talking about, you need to ask yourself, what salary is this? Is this the one that told the whole thing that shows on my payslip, or just a certain part of it? In some companies, it will be the whole thing that shows, plus all your allowances, and then they will calculate 13% and you pay. It differs from company to company. However, I know that in the public sector, primarily those from the Comptroller and Accountant General, it's based on your basic. So if you are someone that works, all right, and let's say you are paid, let me use a very simple, you are paid 5,000 Ghana cedis a month, but your basic, okay, your basic is, let's say, 3,000 cedis. The rest are in allowances, okay? This 13% that goes to SNAID, and this 5%, 30.5 that goes to SNAID, and this 5% that goes to second tier, and whatever that goes to third tier, is based on the 3,000. It won't be based on the 5,000. So when we are talking about the salary that will be used to compute your earnings, it is not the 5,000, it is the 3,000. So straight away, there is a shortfall. And then we sit and we are not aware. And then we hop onto retirement, and then we realize that we have been short. It's not like you're shortchanged, but that is the calculation, and you didn't know. And then we go back bashing at SNAID. Okay, recently there was a case in the media of our own dear and very much adored Amankwampofo. We watched him on Obra, very nice man. And it was in the news that he has worked for 32 years. And when he retired, he took a lump sum of something less than 20,000 Ghana cedis. Look, 32 years of service. what could have happened. And in that interview, he cited quite a number of reasons. The fact that he wasn't promoted well, and so he couldn't get to that higher rank, which could pitch up his salary. But one thing he said is that our company also didn't educate us. So please, if you are on this platform, or you're in our community, or you are HR, you are the manager, training manager, or whatever, don't take this thing for a joke. People, and some companies, when I started doing this, I mean, virtually companies will just snub you. I mean, me, it's okay. Companies have snubbed me. But once this thing started happening, and then the moment I do one, now they sign on every year, come and do. You do one, they sign on, come and do, because you cannot have this information in just a jiffy. So please, what steals from our pension fund is you sitting there and thinking that you have some big money sitting there. Your salary is your income is going to be based on your 5,000, when it's actually going to be based on 3,000. All the allowances are going to be cut off when you retire. So the first thing is, how do you manage the adequacy? That is what we did the last time. In fact, the last month's one, try and go there. I'll put so send hi to the number that I put there. Send hi to the number that I'll put it there again, and I'm also putting it on the chat for everybody. Everybody in the meeting. And okay, so I'm just typing the number again, 1196080. Just send a hi. We'll send you the link. And that one was, can my pension be adequate? Yes, that was the question we asked the last time. And that one, to Yoni did his part 1. Okay, today he's doing part 2 of how to make money through T-bills and bonds. So pensionable salary versus recurring income. This is how far I can go. Okay, it says companies. Okay, I'm getting a comment here. Yeah, from some companies never alert their employees, and employees are just a few months away to pension. Yes, and that is a great error. I agree with you. I train. They me to go. By the time I go, the persons are already 50 years, 58, some 60. In fact, one that I did, the person was going to retire in 2 weeks' time. I mean, so wrong interpretation leads to wrongful and most times overestimation of benefits. All right, good. Again, failure to take full advantage of tax waivers. I've already said it that Ghana has a maximum of 35% tax-free contributions. Let me explain this. Out of your salary that you earn, okay, let me again use the 5,000, or let me use 1,000. Is very, very simple. That one, even if my mass is like a mushroom, I can calculate. Okay, so 1,000 cedis. You can have as much as 350 Ghana cedis in your pension pot together. Okay, this 350, your employer will have to pay 130 Ghana cedis for you, and then you would have to pay 55 cedis. Okay, and then we have and those two are mandatory. They are by force. They are legal. You can't do anything about it. Okay, that is what the law enforces. That is one way the government is protecting you. That is one way it's protecting you. And for those of you who have worked for 15 years, 20 years, let me ask you this question, sincere. And you can respond to me on the chat, and I'll read it. This one, when I read, I'll mention your name. If for these 20 years you have worked, controller or your employer has paid you fully and said you yourself go and pay SNET, do you think you would have funds sitting there by now? You wouldn't have it. So some of these laws, they come to protect us. Have you seen? That is why until you retire, state won't give you your money. You can go to heaven and come. When you die, they will pay you to your dependents. But as long as you are alive, yes, people are laughing. Dr. Dawson is laughing. Yes. If they have paid you your money, you go and pay. For the past 10 years, 15 years, where would your money be by now? Then you see that SNET is even doing better than you. So sometimes you just have to just fight. All right. Okay. Before I go on, somebody says, is it possible to track our pension remotely without going to the office? Yes. A lot of the public trustees are doing it. I know SNET is also doing it. So yes, ask the trustees, either SNET or whoever your private trustee is. Now, so Ghana has that 35. If you are only doing the first and second tier, it means you are doing 18.5% of your basic salary as a contribution. Okay. Now, there's a remaining 16.5%, which is voluntary. And because it is voluntary, a lot of people are not doing it. I know there was a bit of an issue with those of you in the public sector with controller and all that, not being able to do 30. I don't know what the situation is now. But please, even if controller is not doing that now, find a trustee, and this 16.5%, that has to it has to leave your gross or your basic before taxes are applied. And the law mandates employers to help to do that. Okay, so if you have a tax advantage in this 16.5% and you don't utilize it, it's a passive way of losing money. It's a passive way of losing money that could have come into your pocket, and it can be massive. You have no idea. You know, when I showed you that table, for 5 years of just 9 days of delayed contribution, it's costing the person 540 days. 540 days is nearly 2 years, right? So in 5 years, you've lost potential income for 2 years. I mean, this is not a joke. Okay, this is not a joke at all. Okay, so it's 35% of gross, not net. Yes, it's 35% of basic. I don't want to use gross or net, but because you see, you can have a gross salary, but then the whole 35% will not be applied to it, because you can have a gross salary that is not, it's not everything that is pensionable. I think I've explained it. The pensionable salary is what your contributions are based on, and the difference from every company. So it can be the gross, but it may not be the gross necessarily. But the basic, yes, it can be the basic. Okay. So these are what steal our end year. These are what steal from our pension funds. Okay, actively and passively. And as I said, this is only just a bit of what we can do. I think that if you think that your association or your group or your company sort of needs it, please. So that one we have to just shift in terms of when they retire, how they can make use of their lump sums and a few other things, But in terms of really accumulating, no, that's not the time. If you have a 30-year staff, 35-year staff, 45-year-old staff, 40-year-old staff, this is the time. If you wait till 2 years, we can only guide them in how to use their money. Okay, please, those of you, yes, I said I've sent Seba no response. Yes, we can come and do for you. If you're a corporate, if you're an organization, then you would have to do a little bit of investment in that. Okay, knowledge doesn't come easy, and this knowledge people have. They would have made so much significant changes to their lives if this thing had come to them. But we don't blame them. Globally, because pension is something that is like far ahead, it has this kind of attitude. It's not only in Ghana. Okay. So please, yes, as in the single, okay, I think that I've got a few questions. Can you provide guidance on how to get controller staff to get 16.5% pre-tax to be activated? Yes, I know there was a discussion between the worker groups, the unions, and the controller. It is key. Please, I don't know, maybe if you have a worker group that you belong to, I know that discussion was going on. I myself, I wrote to them, for the early days about it, and it wasn't. It was like, oh, they wanted to treat it. Controller wanted to treat it like the way they treat the like when you buy consumer items, in which way they charge the banks. But pension funds are not to be. They should be rebated wholly without any whatever charges. So yes, I believe that with this one, engage your controller groups, but you have our number as well. Okay, anything, let's talk about it now. In order to help, and this is how we are ending, in order to help the cause, okay, when we did the thing, we realized that there were still not, people were still not enrolling on schemes. So we set up a retirement and investment club, okay, and we said that, look, if we do this investment and you want to join the club, what the club simply does is that we team up with a private trustee and a fund manager, and then we allow individuals to be able to contribute into a pension fund. And then all that we do is that we manage for you. So in the end, you can just take your money and go away. This is something to help. So, and of course, if you're part of the club, then 2 times a year, we will do something like, is it like an AGM? Yes, to let you know how your funds are going, how the funds are doing. Plus, you can also benefit from financial advice. We haven't decided whether we're going to charge for that or not. We haven't, but we launched this last year, and because we have to work a lot in terms of how to collect the money. Investing is not a problem, payment is not a problem, but the collection, we're trying to work how it can be done so easily, so that if you want to contribute into it, that is aside of your salary. Let's say you have some other aside business you do, you have some retail work you do, maybe some allowance, maybe some projects. These medical guys, sometimes you get some project, be consulting you do somewhere, the locum that you do, you get paid for it, isn't it? You can direct some, okay, into a pension fund. Don't just collect all. Anywhere you work that has given you some money, make sure that a bit of it, at least 15%, is gone into a pension fund. At least 15% is gone into a pension fund. So that is how you can sort of optimize. Otherwise, you are making a lot of money today, but you are only making just a small part prepare for your future. That is the error. And that is how you lose money. So if you want to be part of the club, and we are going to really start working on it from October, where I believe people will begin to, and you can do contribute by mobile money or whatever, especially, and we are doing this a lot for especially those who are self-employed as well, so that they can contribute to their personal pensions and get this done. If you are interested, again, the number is there. We can just do hi club and then comma and then type your name, so that we know exactly who you are, that you are interested in the club. From September, we will call you, bring you the forms, and then you can be part of this club where you can. And then, as I said, every half of the year we'll do a webinar or we'll do some, and then we can meet face to face and talk if you need some kind of advice. But basically, the MDOS Retirement and Investment Club is to sort of to help, in this month. So we have looked at these things. How can I prevent my pension fund from losing money? Okay, we looked at if you have other businesses you do, bring them in. If you don't bring them in, you are passively losing money. If you have some projects you do, it doesn't go through controller, you earn it somewhere else, you are losing money. You can register. If even you do 5 official jobs that you collect pay slips, all of them can pay SNET. It's normal, it's allowed. All of them can pay SNET, yes. And each of them will pay you. Okay, all of them can pay the second tier. Or maybe you collect that one, as we say, on the desk. Then you can enter into a private pension agreement, like just what I spoke about with our club, and then be contributing something into it. So, well, that is just the logo for our club. If you are self-employed, it is a must. Look, if you are self-employed, you don't do this. This one, I won't even beg you, because you are just losing out. Time is just stealing your money away. You are just being, robbed as well. So, and of course, if you frequently withdraw from your 30-year schemes, yes, that also robs you, because you don't give the chance for the funds to grow. Pension fund is not a savings account. It's not a current account. It is a pension fund account. Let us treat it like that. Thank you very much. I think that so far for all those who joined us from the start, it's been interesting.